Okay, so the next tree I'm going to be planting is tamarack. This species likes very wet conditions, but also likes full sun. So I found this area just on the tree line here. It is quite wet. Behind me, where you can see all that grass, there's basically the outflow from probably what is a muskeg bog that flows through here. So I don't think this area is ever really going to dry out completely, and it's probably a good place for these trees. I'll just show you how I'm planting these. There's a couple of steps when I was doing the bog cranberry I didn't do, partially because I just wanted to get out of there. The mosquitoes were terrible. So here's not so bad. But basically, just starting the hole. I mean, I don't know if you can see that, but there's actually water down there. Okay, so very, very wet area. Putting a little bit of bone meal in the hole, not a lot. The phosphorus helps the root development, just a little sprinkle. I'm doing the mycorrhizal fungi. Same thing, I'm not going crazy, just a little boost. Okay, and then I'm finishing up with a little bit of blood meal. Same thing, I'm not going crazy. I know they say you're not supposed to fertilize. Part of the reason I'm doing this is that deer and other critters that like to eat plants, they don't like the smell of blood meal. So I'm just sprinkling a little bit on top. And then the final thing I'm doing is I have this no bite. It's basically a really bitter compound. You just spray it on your tree. And I'm just giving it a quick spray on both sides. So if anything decides to come by here and sample this, they probably won't like the taste of it. So that's basically what I'm doing. You can see that all of those steps probably took a minute or two, and would have been quicker if I wasn't talking for the camera, of course. And so I'm just going to put a whole bunch in here. Well, I have 10. And I'm putting them pretty close. I don't mind. I just want to see if they're going to grow in these conditions. Basically, all these trees I'm doing this year, it's basically a test to see what's going to grow well where. I don't want to buy a couple hundred trees with some sort of master plan, put them in, and then end up with like 20% survival rate or something like that. So I just want to see how these trees do, and then I'll know for next year or the year after what I should order a lot of, and maybe what I should avoid, or I need to reevaluate where these trees are going to go. But this is a pretty good spot here. It's getting almost full sun, but it's not out in the pasture, and it's a wet area, so these trees should be good here, hopefully. Next thing on our list is the sherbet chokecherry. These are supposed to be good in full sun. They're small tree, shrub, and they have slightly bitter cherries. I'm going to give them a try. Got 10 of these. But basically, I'm doing the same process I did with the tamaracks. And I just kind of cleared some grass away. I think I'm probably going to come back and put down some sort of plastic mulch at some point, and maybe a little bit of wood chips on top just to hold it down, and just suppress the weeds and give the trees a chance to grow. I'm not planning on mulching them long term, but just give them something for the first 2 or 3 years so that they can establish themselves and not be constantly competing with this grass. But you'll notice if you look down, there's a bit of a mound here. I think it might have just built up over time from plowing at the edge of the field here. So it's kind of like a little berm, and it is right next to that wetter spot over there, but because it's elevated a bit, it doesn't seem too bad. But it'll probably be an area that isn't wet, but also has some consistent moisture. So I think it'll be a good area for these trees, and I'm going to give it a shot here. This is going to be the last tree that I do for the camera. It's been a pretty long day. I've already planted about close to 40 trees. I was going to go over the trees that came from Green Barn Nursery, so I'm going to do that real quickly. I already planted one that was a Kenko pear. Also have, what is that? Wonder Red apple, Black Duke cherry, Shisinki pear, Maza cherry, and tap pear. So these are the ones that I got from the green barn, and I'm just gonna do this Black Duke for the camera here. The only thing that's a little bit different here is this is bare root, so I need to spread the roots out when I plant. And also because you have to spread that out, the hole has to be a lot bigger, so that makes it a bit of a pain in the butt. You can see though, like the soil out here is pretty much just straight clay. So just behind me, I found some soil at the edge of the trees. It's actual soil, so I'm basically going to be filling the hole up with that. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I have the mycorrhizal fungi. I'm going to get it all over the roots. A lot of this stuff is probably unnecessary, but if I'm going to spend $50–$60 on the tree, I'm going to try to give it every opportunity to live. Just a little bit of bone meal. And then you don't want to bury these too deep. Basically you want them to be at the natural root line. So I think that looks actually pretty good. So you just spread these roots out. Okay, it's not bad. Okay, I'm probably gonna have to go back for one more shovel full of soil, but that's basically it. Another shovel full of soil. I'll put a little bit of blood meal on top to deter deer or rabbits and stuff like that. I'm gonna spray it with the no bite real quick, and then I have one more thing to do. In this area here, because it's sort of gonna be like an orchard test area, I'm actually gonna put up an electric fence, and hopefully I have time to do that today, but if not, this might be the final segment. So if I get to it, there'll be a video of that. The last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to bait this electric fence with some peanut butter on some tin foil. And I don't know, I've read about this. I have no idea how people normally do it. But just going to kind of wrap it up. It smells good. And maybe some deer will get zapped in the face.